All the gates. Oh, look, Epstein became a gate. We did it in real time here together. It didn't have to be. And the House GOP is announcing now that they have a list of subpoenas that just happen to be all bad for the Democrats. Yeah, a couple of former AGs in there also, but you know, no Trump, no, which I'm not surprised by. But if you want to get to the bottom of this, why don't you start with the files or the financial transactions or the people who were involved with making him a deal? It just reeks of politics, and I don't know why. This is a layup for the president to put this stuff out. All right, let's bring in former governor and constant political sage, friend of show, Chris Sununu, and Epstein's former attorney and friend, Professor Alan Dershowitz. It's good to have you both, Gov.
You bet. Good to see you.
Next to me. And Dersh is here for your benefit as well. So, Professor, let's just remind, okay? The mythology is there's a client list. He was getting underage girls for a big list of powerful guys, American and foreign. That's why they killed him, and Maxwell knows. Do you accept any of those?
Not a single one of them. I wish there were a client list. That my fondest wish is that there were a client list, because I wouldn't be on it. I wasn't his client. I was his lawyer. He was my client. There was no client list. Only 2 people testified that they were trafficked. Both of them have been found to be complete liars. One of them admitted that she made up stories about having videos of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. The other one denies the Holocaust and made up all kinds of stories about people. So there's no credible evidence, basically, about clients or about being passed around to people. That's just all made up. And this, you know, I challenge anybody to come up with any testimony to the contrary of that. That's what's so strange about these files not being released. What has to happen is the government has to go in front of the 3 judges who have sealed material. They're all in the Southern District of New York, and they all have material that's seized. That's where the details are. That's where the accusations are. It includes accusations by alleged victims, but also accusations against alleged victims. So the judge sealed them in order to protect victims. But some of the victims are also perpetrators and criminals and did terrible things. And so let's have everything open. The time has come. You know, sometimes it pays to seal things for a year or 2 years. Now it's been 25 years since these alleged events occurred.
But the Florida judge said no. What do you do about that?
Well, you have to appeal it. And the New York judges will probably say no, too. But these are not files that the Justice Department has access to.
But they do have stuff, right? The DOJ has stuff that they could release, right?
Everything. And, you know, you want to redact the name of a victim, okay, but also include the information about the victim so that we can assess the credibility. But judges have to unseal. The Justice Department has to reveal everything it has in its file that is not subject to sealing, and then let the public, let the media go dig deeply into these people, and let's get the true story. People who are innocent have nothing to hide.
I hear you. Gov, the financial transactions that Wyden came up with, 1 billion of them. Yep. Now, there's a clip going around, not for you guys, but you may see it on social media that says Trump was connected to $1 billion of transfer. That's not true, okay? No. Wyden found Treasury Department records of about $1 billion going to Epstein, who was in the money-moving business. Right. But that may be how it was financed. Why don't you release them?
Release everything. Look, I just want to say...
Why aren't they? Help us understand. This is your team.
Look, as a governor, I can tell you I've had conversations with my attorney generals where they say, look, we can't do this because we may prosecute someone down the road, and we don't want to open up evidence, and we don't want to have to backtrack on something that we may want to see. There's all these lawyering reasons why you may not want to do that, but I think Dersh is 100% right. You got to rip this Band-Aid off. You need to put everything out there, and America is going to accept nothing less, by the way. And the time has passed, and you can redact those victims' names. Ultimately, we're all going to know. Ultimately, this is going to come out at some point, unless we're going to bury it like the Kennedy files or something like that, and that's not going to happen.
But it was supposed to heal the trust problem,
that's right.
And it is exacerbating the trust problem.
Right,
exactly. I can't tell you how many people are giving me more mythology than we did before this, Dersh.
It's almost less about Epstein now, and it's more about who else is being protected.
That's
Both
right.
Republicans and Democrats, we blame you all. American citizens saying you're all part of this thing. Stop having this have and have-nots. Elitists are protected, and the regular people aren't. Open it all up and show once and for all that all Americans are going to be treated fairly.
Why does this keep happening to Trump? I'm not making him a victim. I'm saying he says I'm going to release the UAP stuff. Biden was an idiot. Then he doesn't. Gives us the same thing he did. JFK, we're going to release everything. It's all coming out this time. They hoodwinked me the first time, Pompeo and those guys. Not this time. Nothing happens. Now it's this. He says, I have nothing to worry about. I knew the guy, but I never had anything to do with the disgusting stuff. And as soon as I found out about it, I blocked him from my club. So then why isn't he saying, I don't want to hear anything else? Put it out.
He's wrong. I don't know why he isn't leading the campaign to put things out. There's nothing in there. I know what's in the files. There's nothing in there incriminating in any way, as far as I know, about Donald Trump or about.
What about Clinton?
No, I think, look, I was part of a conversation. I was at an event at the home of Caroline Kennedy on Martha's Vineyard. President Clinton was there. He was then president. The Secret Service handed Clinton a phone, said somebody wants to talk to you. We walked away 15 minutes. We thought it was about national security. He comes back to the table and he says, Alan, somebody wants to say hello to you. He hands me the phone. It's Jeffrey Epstein. So I can testify that Bill Clinton knew Jeffrey Epstein, of course, knew him well enough to have a 15-minute call way before any of these allegations came out. But there's nothing in the file to suggest that he did anything wrong, that he was ever on the island, that he ever had anything or did anything improper. But everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else. And look, I agree with the governor. This is not going to go away. Mm-hmm. And the excuse that we're going to prosecute somebody, the statute of limitations is mostly over. And even if you are, sacrifice that. The Americans' public's right to know, need to know, in this case comes first. Mm-hmm. Everything should come out, and the president should lead the campaign and start tomorrow saying, I'm ordering my attorney general to go in front of every judge, seek everything out there, and let's
put out the Maxwell interview.
The interview alone, the transcripts alone will start. But so I have a quick question for Dersh. Is it, now that these subpoenas have been released, is it practical to think, because America is thinking that all these individuals from Hillary and Bill Clinton onwards are going to have to sit there before Congress in open public testimony and testify because of these subpoenas. Is that actually how it's going to play out? Because I don't think so. And I think there's, again, another anticipation of something happening that is going to fall short of America's expectations.
Well, certainly Congress has the power to subpoena all these people. None of them have privileges. They're not going to assert Fifth Amendment. They're not going to assert executive privilege. And so they're going to have to testify. But the testimony is going to be pretty darn boring. Yeah, I wrote him a card. By the way, the New York Times had a story today about people who sent him a card for his, I think, 60th birthday. Years later, after all the dirt came out, Trump's not among them. Noam Chomsky is on the list, Bill Gates. There are many other people on the list, but nobody, either from the Trump side or the Clinton side, is on the list of people who wrote him a letter, or me, or anybody like that, wrote him a letter after it was determined. And so chronology is everything. There's an enormous difference between people who were close to him before I was his lawyer, before any of this came out, and people who stayed close to him after there was some disclosure. And by the way, the disclosure came in drips and drabs. First, it was a few people. By the time he was indicted, just before he committed suicide, that's when we first learned that it was hundreds and hundreds of people. And I don't think very many people stayed close to him after that. So chronology is everything. But again, everything must come out. This is one of these situations where sunlight is the not only best, but the only disinfectant. It will not go away unless everything is released.
Can't have that the deputy AG goes and talks to Ghislaine Maxwell, the only living link, all right? And we don't hear about it.
And the media is watching him going in and watching him coming out. They made such a spectacle.
And they say, you know, she mentioned over 100 people. And you're not going to tell us who or in what context?
And the story is today that she's been moved to a...
Right. I don't get why the media is... Help me with this. Look, if this was Jeffrey Epstein and he got moved to a nice prison in a residential area, I would get why people are upset. But is that really the case with Maxwell? I think that I watched her trial very closely. She absolutely, I believe, deserved to be convicted. You can talk about the sentence if you want, but she knew, she groomed, she facilitated. But the idea that she's some kind of like monster that you can't have in a certain neighborhood, to me, that seems like a little bit of false.
Yeah, and again, I don't care as much as that. I think it just is a foreshadowing that there's more to come here. And you know, they wouldn't be doing that if she wasn't giving up the goods. The piece I love today, though, I saw the Hillary Clinton subpoena. The justification was they want to question her about her relationship to Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to see that question and how that's answered.
It's just so stupid. All right, I got to jump. Gov.
Thanks, brother.
I love you. Thank you. Professor, thank you very much. You keep giving people the answers they say they want. I hope at some point they listen. Thank you.
Answers. They don't want the answers. They want the conspiracy theories.
Yep, you're right. But look, it's very rare we have someone who can actually discern which is which. So thank you for being here.
It's America. Conspiracy theories are what we do best.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.